Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today is April 17th. I am so excited to hang out with y'all tonight, plus have our special guest. Please go ahead and grab whatever you need to get comfortable and cozy on this Wednesday evening, and we'll be back here in about 30 seconds. All right, everyone. We are so excited to be back this Wednesday evening. Before we hop into our content, we want to give everyone a quick reminder that EmpowerCon is back this summer. We're so excited about this one-day free mini conference for multilingual educators across every grade level. We will be in 3 different locations on July 9th. We'll be in Normal, Illinois. July 16th, you'll see us in Wheeling. And July 23rd, we will be in Palos Hills. Make sure you find all of that information on our website because it's free and we don't want you to miss it. Last year, we did reach capacity and we had to cut off registration. So we don't want that to happen to you. We want to make sure you get your spot. So we're really excited for that. This evening, though, we're so excited because we're continuing our month-long celebration of Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month, and we're bringing in incredible authors to chat with. So tonight, I'm so excited to introduce you all to my friend, Sheila. Sheila, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. We are so excited to hang out with you this evening. If you are joining us live this evening, please go ahead and give us some comments, say hello. So Sheila, for the folks who don't know you yet and who are not connected to you yet, tell us a little bit about who you are and some of your passions.
So my name is Sheila Glazov, and I live in the Chicagoland area, and I always consider myself an educator. I'm also a professional speaker and an author, and that's why we're here tonight, is to talk about my wonderful book called Princess Shayna's Invisible Visible Gift. And I call it wonderful because that's what I hear from the children and the parents and the teachers. And that really makes my heart smile because you know that I live in the Blue Village just like you do, Carly. Yes. And that's what makes us so happy, is helping other people. And like I said to you before, when you see the children recognize what village they live in or what color brain they have, it's an inside job, and they have that praiseworthy gift forever. It's so remarkable, and it gives them attributes and abilities and the strengths to deal with what our children deal with today. And what they can do that themselves and not figuring that out because their parents or their grandparents or their teachers tell them, but they discover that. So can I just read something to you very quickly from a 5th grader from Arlington Heights? I did an enrichment program with his teacher. It was for a whole semester, and I worked with this lovely lady for several years, and it was so joyful. But Max was really very special, and it was in the story, on the 2nd day of the 2nd month of the new year, the princess is born, which is actually my birthday and my youngest grandson's birthday. So he wrote, before you open this up, I want you to know how much of an author you mean to me. You are an author who brightened my path, who let me think, who made me strong, and who let me be the way I am. Thank you, Max.
Wow.
Right. That's 11th grade boy. And the 5th grade boy who's 11. And to me, he came from the Green Village. So the Green Brain people are not expressive of their emotions. They don't wear their hearts on their sleeves the way we blue people do. They keep everything tied to the vest. So when he could express himself like that, and it wasn't really about me, Carly, it was all about him reading the book every week and what he discovered about himself. That's what we love doing. So I keep that on my desk. And Max now is probably in college, you know, I will always remember him. And I know from doing my program with my books that I used to do with my college roommate in New York, I would go there every other month. And we always said what we did with the children with Princess Shayna transformed them. We know that they carry those things with them for the rest of their life.
Yes.
So that makes me really happy.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a beautiful reminder of just the impact of the work.
Right.
And so you've referenced, and I've got two
Okay.
books right here of yours that are just beautiful. Why don't you tell us? You mentioned a little bit about color, and so for the folks who are watching who maybe haven't seen the books yet, tell us a little bit about your book.
So what color is your brain, if you've taken the Myers-Briggs type indicator, is Myers-Briggs, but it's easier for people because I've discovered from my third graders in the 60s that I was dyslexic. And so we were just studying that in the 60s. So that was really helpful to me. So learning Myers-Briggs, which is the mother of all personality type indicators, is fabulous. It's wonderful. However, I was confusing all the letters and not putting the 16 letters in the right order for 4 different personality types. So being an educator and an elementary school educator, for me, that was so much easier to do it with colors. And when we moved back from California, I was a English as a second language teacher at Barrington High School. So I knew that, these letters and words and things for people, if it's not your mother tongue, it's not always easy. So colors being our greatest stimulant, there it was. So that became What Color is Your Brain? And it's been wonderful. Right now I'm doing a Train the Trainer program because people always want to be a trainer. And I'm at that point of saying, okay, I'll put this all together, 30 plus years of work. I've had to be very yellow and organized, and I've had to be very green and do all my research. And I did take a risk. I was very orange. I did take a risk, and I bought a new computer. I bought a new Apple computer. So I've been using all my brain colors to do this. And this is what we want people to do, is to be able to use your brain colors and learn your attributes and abilities to create more harmonious relationships. Mm-hmm. And it's different. How you are at home may not be how you are at work or even romantic relationships. So, and in the book, there's also information about our students, our children, and how their brain develops. Is when they're little people, their frontal lobe is the largest lobe in their brain. And it doesn't develop till they're over 25 years old. That's why they need parents and teachers to help guide them and not be telling them what to do. I tell the students, these people are guiding you. And so that, to me, it's very exciting when people have that aha about that. And Princess Shana was part of a program. I was at the Creative Problem Solving Institute in Buffalo, New York, 30 years ago. And after that certification for a whole week, your creativity is gone and you just want to relax. So I went to a storytelling class. And the teacher just had beautiful photos from we used to have big calendars on the wall with beautiful photos, right? Not on our computer. And she just said, pick a picture and start writing. And it was just a free flow. And that was Princess Shana. And it just came out. And it was, for me, a way of sharing this with the children. And that was, she had her birthday. She's 27 years old. And I love that she's still used in schools. And now the 4th musical is being produced at the Rouse Center in Crystal Lake.
Wow.
So, yes, that's very, very exciting. It's very exciting. So to me, they do a truck and bus, which means they take a truck with the props and a bus with all the actors, and they will take Princess Shana to the schools, as well as having it in the theater. Wow. So for me, just sharing it is just joyful. You're always a teacher. You're always a teacher. Once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. That never leaves you.
Yes.
Right. And so for me, Princess Shana teaches children that they can feel loved, safe, encouraged, and confident, and really confident in a trustworthy environment, be it home or school or their community. And isn't that what we want to do for them as educators?
Absolutely.
Them that trust. And Princess Shana is a strong young woman. She isn't and lost in the woods. She sees how the villagers come to the castle and how they get along so well in the castle, but then they go home and they've built walls around their villages. Mm-hmm. Look at our communities. Everyone lives in a walled community. And she visits all the different villages, the 4 different villages, on her vision quest to give them the opportunity to discover their own praiseworthy gifts. and tear down the wall, which is what they do. They tear down the wall and they wind up building a path to the next village. And then finally, they have to go back through the forest of fear. And the forest of fear is where me, evil, and villain, because when we're not esteemed and live in the forest of fear, we are all about ourselves, me. We become those villains. Sometimes, sadly, we do evil things to ourselves and other people. So the children learn how to deal with those things when we're shadowed, because she has a cloud of chaos over the kingdom of kindness. And we all feel shadowed at times, but how do we deal with that? And so they get through the forest of fear and they go back to the castle and they have a celebration and everybody learns about what's good about each village. And then they can travel to all the villages. And isn't that what we want to do? We have so many wonderful gifts from our different cultures and languages and religions. And it's really beautiful to do that. And as I said to you, my daughter-in-law is from Brazil. And my granddaughter and our youngest grandson are bilingual. And they are just beautiful people because we have this wonderful culture in our family that we never had before.
Yes, yes. And I love that so much because our languages are so beautiful. They're very tied, right, to our identities. And we talk about that a lot at the IRC is how we can create like school environments and learning environments that feel linguistically safe and linguistically inclusive. And I really think there are so many different elements of your work that help to amplify that message, right? Of utilizing and amplifying our unique gifts and all the different pieces of who we are, and also recognizing the unique gifts and skills and assets that others around us have. So I think there are just so many beautiful ties to your work as we advocate for all students.
Exactly. And I didn't realize in 1997 when Princess Shayna was published that I had inadvertently, just I think because of how I was raised, that Citrine is a woman who there's so many different things you can say about her. And you could say that she's Brazilian. You could say that she's from the Middle East. She is very interesting of what she says and what she does in the Yellow Village. And Citrine is a gemstone, because I say that all the village people are gemstones. You're a multifaceted gemstone depending on the setting that you're in. And so the children who have a Hispanic background all relate to Citrine. They all say, oh, that's me. And then you have the blue villagers, and that's Spinell, and she's Native American. And then you have the green villagers, and that's Peridot, and he's Asian. And then you have Ped Paracha, which is a gemstone, an orange gemstone, and he is African American. And so I brought in everybody because that is what America looks like. And that's what makes us beautiful. And I see that because of my grandchildren and their mother being a true Brazilian, being African, Indian, Portuguese, and Italian. So they relate to all of that. Yes. And I love that in my own family, that my grandchildren see that in Princess Shayna. That's very exciting, and how they all work together. And then you have the four emissaries, how they work together and help Princess Shayna go back to the castle after her vision quest.
Yes. Oh, that's so incredible. And I think it's so beautiful too, like how you have, your unique connections in your own family and how that has kind of influenced, right? Some of the work, but I know this was written a while back, but like it's still so relevant, right? And even more so.
I find that to be such a blessing because that never gets old.
Right.
Learning how to appreciate other people and their differences and respect them for their attributes and abilities is so exciting. When I have the children or the adults in workshops write down their praiseworthy gifts, they sort of look at me like deer in the headlights. Well, I'm not going to say that about myself. It's so easy for them to say about their family and friends. I said, I'm giving you an opportunity. This is not self-centered. It's self-caring to learn about yourself. And then they get really busy writing. And that's what's really wonderful. And then I do an activity with them that I'm not going to share with you because I only do that in my programs, but it's really impactful of what they do to the paper they've written on. And then they go, oh my gosh, I need to be respectful to myself as well.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And I appreciate you saying that, because I think educators and leaders, like I feel like a lot of us, especially for those of us who are in roles where we are constantly advocating for student groups that have been historically marginalized, historically oppressed, I think we're really, really good at pouring into others and finding and like tapping into the unique gifts that others have, especially our students. But we are often really, really hard on ourselves, and we're very forgiving of others. We do allow a lot of things from other people, but we often don't forgive ourselves. We're not patient with ourselves as much as we are with others. So I appreciate that.
We're too hard on ourselves, and but it's wonderful to see people just light up, and then they share about their gifts, and they're just, people say, yeah, right. And their colleagues sitting next to them, their fellow teachers, fellow coworkers, like, wow, that's what I think about you too. And I think we need to be able to do that. But if we can start by doing that with our children, and the colors are a non-judgmental language.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's easy for people to understand, and our children to understand. Yeah. And that to me is so important, to give them those gifts. And also in 2011, I said to the publisher, I want to do a new second edition, and we did. And we added a whole paragraph about bully behavior. And it was about how to treat others, because it's very sad that we have this in our schools, in our communities, in our nation. And so I think that's a really important part of Princess Shayna, is this bully behavior of being kind to other people, even though they may not look like you or act like you.
Yes.
Find something in common with them that you enjoy. And then in Princess Shayna, in the back of the book, there's a gift giver's guide. And the front of the book is in black and white, so the children can color it in themselves and make it their own book. But the back is colored. And then there are 2 questions for each of the gift giver guide pages. So it says, well, how would you feel if you lived in the Yellow Village? Who do you know who lived in the Yellow Village? What do you feel like when you're in the Forest of Fear? So it becomes a dialogue, Carly. And I think that's so important, to be communicating with our children, with our students. And I once did not sell a book to a gentleman who said that he was just going to give it to his son. And I said, well, you need to sit down and read this with your son. I showed him the gift givers. He said, I don't have time for that. I said, then I can't sell you my book.
Wow.
That interaction in the guide really gets conversations going, and really helps people understand one another so well. And I think that's another piece that was the teacher piece in me when I wrote it. And I did it with my college roommate, who's a special education educator. And so between Michelle and I, and she doing this in her class, which was an inclusion class, we're very blessed to have had that experience. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely wonderful. So I know you mentioned like a lot of different things that kind of inspired the book, but at what point, because you've been doing this work for a long time, at what point did you say to yourself, I need to get this all captured? Like, I've got to get this all captured so that it can be shared, with different folks.
I'm not sure I really consciously thought about that.
Yeah.
Princess Shayna was written before What Color Is Your Brain was written.
Okay.
And so I had met my publisher, and he said, do you do anything besides children's books? And I told him about my What Color Is Your Brain programs for teachers and for administrators and people in business, small business, large businesses, corporations. He said, well, that's a really interesting title. And so that's what helped me do What Color Is Your Brain? And it's sold over 36,000 copies.
Wow.
So I'm happy about that. And I'm excited. I'm excited to do my Train the Trainer program, but it's very green for me to do the Trainer program. I'm, creative people love creating something, but the tedium, and I'm working alone and doing that. But it makes me appreciate the green side of what color's your brain? Because I tell people you're a rainbow, just like on Princess Shayna, where there's a rainbow, that you're all those colors.
Yes.
And that's what makes a difference. You're a blending. You're not just one. A rainbow blends into one another. And then you use that gift that you need to do what you have to do. And that's how I also wrote the teacher's guide, because I felt that was important. And the teacher's guide came because there was another production of Princess Shayna at a wonderful theater in New Jersey. And so I thought, well, if they're selling the tickets to the teachers, let's have something that them to take home. And so we were able to do, I don't know. You don't have the teacher's guide. So here's the teacher's guide.
Okay.
And it just has lots of fun activities. And I use so many activities that other teachers who had used Princess Shayna really helped to make up this book. And I acknowledge them in the front of the book because I couldn't do it myself. I'm no longer in my own classroom. I go to many different classrooms. So having their ideas was one. And then I use my own teacher's guide, like for my training. I was thinking to make sure that my handouts all had something a little bit different. So I had to go back to the spelling lists of all the villages. So the teacher's guide was also helping me.
I love it.
Right. And so it's just part of what I do. It's so blue of me. What can I say?
I love it.
Right.
But I love the idea of.
I keep telling you how yellow I am to do things. And that's what happens is people start using their colors to describe their behavior.
Yeah.
And one thing that's not in the books that is in my workshops I want to share with your audience is that when you are shadowed and not feeling very good, this is my college roommate her mother's saying, which I think is wonderful. You're wet paint. Don't touch, let me dry. And we all know we have those days.
Yeah.
And people say, well, what's wrong? How can I help you? And you just don't want to talk to anybody. Yeah. So you just say, I'm blue wet paint. I'm green or orange or yellow wet paint. Give me some time to dry. And I love to share that with people and the children because it makes it easier and resolves a conflict like that. And then when you're ready to communicate about what's bothering you, you're in a better place. And your brain color is in a better place and you're not living in the forest of fear any longer.
Yes. So, I love that. I love that as an analogy too, because I think that's super comprehensible for students, and it's a great way. It's some language for them to hold on to, like, hang on. It allows them that time and space and opportunity to regain composure and like kind of reset and recalibrate a little bit. And I know in schools today, we talk a lot about de-escalation strategies and how to, create conditions for, us to continue growing in our social, emotional, mental health skills for ourselves as adults, but also for our students. So I love that idea of equipping our students with that language, right? That I'm wet paint, I'm blue, I'm feeling blue, wet paint. Like it allows that time to happen.
They also will say that they feel like Mevelin. They'd come to school and they'd say, I was such a Mevelin this morning. My mom made me eat breakfast and, I was such a Mevelin. And it's just so funny. But it's good because they know they were not feeling right. Or else they'll say, I'm really shadowed. I'm really under the cloud of chaos. And they use the terms, they use the story, again, to express their feelings and their thoughts. And it's a non-judgmental language. No one's saying you shouldn't say that. And it gives them a picture to explain themselves to the other people. Because sometimes, even as adults, we find it very difficult. Like, what's really bothering you? I don't know what's really bothering me. That I feel really shadowed, or I really feel like evil. And that makes it so much easier for them. It gives them tools that they'll always have. And that's what I love, giving them those tools. So they can really handle their life better because they have so many different challenges that I never had, you never had. Lots of challenges.
Absolutely. So I love that this book, it gives every different age group something to hold on to. So, I mean, I could see this work happening with our littlest learners, our youngest learners. I can
Yes.
see this happening in high school conversations. I think it's just it's timeless and it's ageless.
Thank you.
So when and adults too, right? Like we can pull a lot of this for our own brains and our own understanding. But when you have readers and you've sold so many copies, when you have readers kind of reading and consuming and digesting this work, what are some of the main things that you hope readers can take and hold on to from this?
I think what I feel is so, again, here's my blue feelings, but I think my green, but my blue is telling you how I feel.
Yeah.
That I want them to learn about themselves. I want them to see also in the story that Princess Shana has her precious gifts. I want them to see their own precious gifts. And there's an intuition compass. There's a seashell to help her listen to people sincerely, which we also need very badly. And I think there's so many metaphors within the story that I wrote that I wanted people to see so they could use those tools. And that's, to me, the most important thing, that it becomes a tool. And I've sold the book to a Princess Shana to adults, and then another book for their children or grandchildren, whatever, but for themselves, because it's easier for them to read.
Yeah.
And even for the little people, years ago, it said, there are 18 chapters. It's a long book, Carly. And I say to parents when they buy it, or teachers, just read part of it. Just color a couple of pages. That's all. And then come back to it.
Yeah.
And my friend Susan, remember before it was completed, and we had a writer's group, and she had a copy that wasn't anything, just my ideas and some of the writing. And she took it home to her children, and she started to skip some things. And Carolyn and Craiger said, no, you have to go back, Mom. You missed something. So, to me, I think it's because it's so visual.
Yeah.
That really helps people understand themselves and other people, and it makes them feel more comfortable within themselves. Again, it's their own praiseworthy gifts. And to me, that's what's important for people to see that. And it is not self-centered. It is self-caring. And that's what I tell my clients in my programs. Yes. You're not being self-centered. You're being self-caring. And we need to stop and do that. And especially educators, because we never stop educating.
Yeah.
It never stops, ever. Yeah. And so you're always thinking, even in the grocery store, when the kids can't do their change, even though the machine tells them, the cash register tells them, well, we always taught change in third grade. So here I am, the third grade teacher, teaching them at Jewel how to make their change. So I think, to me, that's really, it's the multicolored path back to the castle. It's people working together is what we want to see, what we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really important to me.
I love that. And I think, again, it's so timely and so relevant for this month as we're celebrating Multilingual Learner Advocacy Month and all of the work that our educators and leaders are doing to amplify, right, all of the wonderful, wonderful gifts that our students have and helping our students tap in and find those gifts. And also remembering we have those gifts as well. So, Sheila, as we start to wind down, I know you mentioned a few different things that you do, but how do you share these books and this work with others?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. So being an educator, because when people say you're a professional speaker, yes, but you know what? That's what we are as educators. We are professional speakers. So I do present programs, workshops for people, and I'll do that, if they have a special setting, or if they want to do it online. Now I've learned about StreamYard. So for me, it's, as an educator, you really want to tell everybody. You want to share what you know to help other people. So it's my workshops, it's my books, and now the Train the Trainer program. And that to me is what's really important and what I enjoy. And people say, oh my gosh, you're still working. I said, of course, because I get to see it firsthand, and you see people's light bulbs go off. And what's very funny is in a workshop, I'll have everybody do their groups, and the yellow and the green and the orange and the blue will get to their own table to work on their handouts and then to also have a large sheet of flip chart paper, and there are questions that the client and I talk about ahead of time. So the answer, so the yellow people start right away and they number everything. It's all organized. And the blue people, I have to say to them, okay, you need to stop talking because we only have a few minutes for you to do your group activity. And then the orange people run out of paper. And when they're done, they stand up on their chairs and they say, we're done, we're done. And I have to go over to the green people and say, I know you like to work alone. But for this, I'd like you to work together. And I want you to show the other people in your group how smart you are, because those are buzzwords for the green people. And put them down on paper, so they understand about you. And that's always an aha, because they prefer to work alone. And the yellow people are always so prepared. Everything's numbered, everything's organized. The blue people want to talk about it. They'd rather not write anything down. And the orange people just want to do. So when I take the papers back to my office, people say, well, don't you want us to write our group on it? And I said, no, I don't. All I have to do is see the words you have written and how you have written it. And you'll tell me your brain color.
Yeah.
Really? And the kids say, and the children in school say, that's really amazing. I said, so listen, be a sincere listener, look at the people when they're talking to you and listen sincerely to what they are saying. And they will tell you their brain color. And they'll tell you what village they live in. And then you will be able to communicate with them better. And they'll be able to understand you better. And sometimes when you talk to someone, you bring out their color in them. So our blue, Carly, will bring out the blue in other people. So, and you're sort of a reflection on each other. And that's what really is exciting, that they then talk this non-judgmental language. And that's what makes me really excited and happy, because once people leave a program, you want to know that they're going to use, transfer, and apply what they've learned. And that's what I always say to my clients. It's the old thing that I learned about education years ago, is we want to transfer and apply what you've learned. Otherwise, what's the good, right? So to me, that's really exciting. So you and I, we're going to be writing colors back and forth to one another and you know exactly what I mean. And I think that helps people in their professional and their personal relationships to be able to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, well, Sheila, thank you so much for hanging out this evening and sharing your passions with us. And for everybody watching, you can find the information at the bottom of the screen here if you're curious about going and checking out those books. But Sheila, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a happy brain day.
Bye, everyone.